all the good talk and just hit record. But did you guys want any questions before we start? I mean,
No.
it's your story. You guys can't mess this up.
Yeah.
All right, hang tight. Oh, wait. There we go. Press the wrong button. 3, 2, 1, go.
The best conversations happen at happy hour. Welcome to Ours.
Welcome aboard.
This is the PT Pintcast. Here's your host, physical therapist Jimmy McKay.
Along with physical therapist assistant Katie Sutton from PTA Plus. Katie, we're sharing a microphone in this
We are
one.
sharing a microphone.
So we're not just leaning in a little bit too close uncomfortably. Just fresh off the keynote, gentlemen, how do you introduce yourselves? Are you guys a combo? Like, Dan, how do you guys?
I'm Dr. Dan Staats. I just got off the stage with the keynote. David Restiano is here to my right.
I was supporting him from the front row, as always. It was great.
Not many times, and we'll get to this will make sense, but not many times does a business get born in the shower, where someone's thinking of their physical therapist in the shower. Next thing you know, years later, that has actually grown into something. So maybe just briefly, you did it on stage. I don't want to retell the story, right? Someone else will watch that. We'll get deeper. But the origin story to me is that moment of the list that you gave that we'll get to, which is a real problem, and then sort of moment of what if or magic or, hey, how about what if someone didn't do this? We could. So let's go to shower thoughts is where I wanted to start.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about the physical therapist. I was thinking about the physical therapy. But yeah, definitely. Dan has been my physical therapist for years, and I've been injured so many times that he's helped me feel so much better so many times. But that one time when I got home, it just clicked. There was that eureka moment, and I saw the shape. It really was the shape of the green bar, let's just call it, to avoid any specific copyright issues. But it was that green bar, and I took it, and I started to use it like Dr. Dan did, and it felt amazing. And that's when I had that moment. Called him shortly thereafter, and like he said in his wonderful keynote address, the company started then and there, And
you wrote it on the back of the napkin. Hey, listen, let's just do this thing, and let's not be bad to each other, and let's see where this thing goes. So when he was pitching it to you, because as PTs, I was in clinic for a couple of years. We get a lot of things pitched to us, and some of them are absurd. They would never work. Sure. And some of them you're like, yeah, and then some of them, they would work, but maybe you're not the right person, or you're like, yeah, I know what it might take to create a product, and it's not as simple as back of the napkin, draw it, then someone make it, and we just put it on a website. Why'd you say yes? Or why did you at least say yes to the next 2 or 3 steps? Like, let's see where this thing goes, see where this rabbit hole goes.
Yeah, so the more I would think about it, because when he first came up to me with the option, I was like, yeah, all right, bar soap, therapeutic, but there's therapeutic soap out there. But I think what I really loved was that it was like intertwined in an activity of daily living that everybody gets up and does. Right. Like your market size is so huge because everybody's showering. At least we hope everybody's showering.
We hope. We hope.
And then so then I thought, all right, if everybody's doing this and they do it 365 days a year, well, at the end of the year, if you do 365 showers like that, your joints and your muscles 100% are going to feel better. And even though maybe the one time I did it on him, maybe I could do it better with my stainless steel tools, but I can't be in the shower and I can't do that 365 times a year.
You're not asking him to add something to his. You weren't trying to. He wasn't trying to add anything to your routine. You're like, I'm here. You're adding the product. You're not adding a place or an activity, like you said. Yeah. The activity's already happening. And the lift is pretty light, right? Yep. I mean, what's the recommendation? How long do you guys usually suggest someone actually, use the Source Soap tool?
I mean, we've gotten so much anecdotal feedback from our large customer base, and Dan alluded to it on stage. Different people use it in different ways. Athletes use it one way. Older customers use it another way. People with fibromyalgia use it another way. Some people only use it on their neck, and it lasts a lot longer. What I usually say as a rule of thumb when we're doing a live event or I'm talking to customers online is I'll say just 20 or 30 scrapes, work your way around, kind of explore, and when they have the option, when they have the luxury of clinical care, they can go home with already some knowledge of the way their body works, the way their physical therapist or their occupational therapist is working on them, and then they can supplement it, which it really checked that extra box for us. It was a low barrier to entry. A lot of people, everybody showers, but also it was a great way to supplement clinical care. And we had some early conversations with PTs And some of them a little more conservatively said, well, it's just soap. It's not going to replace a physical therapist. And I said, well, that's not the intention at all.
No.
It's just to, do their homework in a fun way, in an accessible way, get in touch with their body, help speed along their recovery, help support and supplement and buttress what you're doing, in office.
Whether you're a solo PT or running multiple clinics, Empower EMR grows with you. It's flexible, cloud-based, and actually easy to use. See it in action at empoweremr.com. You treat the patient, a Thelis AI scribe does the rest. It listens, transcribes, and writes your notes, even with background noise or accents. Try it out. Email me for a quick walkthrough, jimmy@ptpintcast.com.
And we're talking about adding seconds or minutes, not an hour, not
exactly.
15 different exercises. This is like, hey.
2 minutes.
And the nice part about it is, I'd say an easier part of a sell maybe is, you're getting immediate relief. Like, you're not saying do this and then later it might feel better. You're saying while you're doing this, it smells good, it feels good, it's targeted. We can show you how to do it yourself, so there's some self-efficacy. And then you also took it out of the shower, right? You talked about that moment when you created the polycarbonate, the plastic version of that. How was that decision? Where'd that decision come? I don't know if you talked about that. Like, it was just there, but imagine adding another product. That's 100% more products, right? You're doubling in size.
Absolutely. And it's the product that Mark really was fixing.
Which is funny, right? When you can watch the episode, that really was the thing. It was like, sometimes it's that latent need. It's like all of a sudden we thought the most valuable thing was this.
Yeah.
We thought this was okay, but for that one person, happened to be Mark Cuban, which is not bad to have a billionaire playing with your product. He liked that. So what was the moment when you said, not only are we going to be soap, but we're also going to be a hardened tool that you can take with you and portable?
Yeah, so David, when I was pouring these the soap into making the prototypes into the molds, in order to make the mold, we had to have this like resin-shaped soap, so it was hard. And it was just sitting on David's desk, and he would start using it. He's like scraping himself with it. Then he'd bring it to soccer, and the fellow athletes are like, "Hey, let me see that thing. What is that?" So he brought it to me. He's like, "We should sell these." And I said, "Yeah, we should. Let's squeeze it down a little bit. We'll make it sleeker. We'll make it lighter." Then we started talking to engineers about what we could make it out of, all the different materials.
Yep.
And we started to think marathon runners and having something light in your pocket. And so that came about. But really, it started from him he'd be working on something, and this tool is just sitting on his desk, and he's like,
"Why not?"
It was really
his neck.
It was just a byproduct of our manufacturing process, really. But me not being a doctor, right, and not feeling, I think there's an advantage sometimes, right? Again, Dan talked about this, yin and yang. We really complement one another. But I think a little bit of naivety and a little bit of kind of innocence and just thinking purely creative like a child. You see something, it feels good, you do it, it feels a little better. Now, it's not always. It's been a long challenge for us to get it into the mainstream, to get it into the runners' hands, to get it into more athletes' hands. And a lot of people use it for many different reasons, just like the soap. But it's been fun because it's low tech. It's different than a lot of what you see. A lot of the trends right now are high tech.
Right.
Theragun, for example. I mean, he's got an amazing company, Dr. Jason. But this is different. It's kind of an antithesis. It's simple. It's not intimidating.
Right.
It's not hyper functional. It's you grab it, you use it. It's intuitive, and that was really how I noticed it. I just started playing with it, and it felt great.
Less on the what and more on the why and the outcome.
Yeah.
Why am I doing this, and what am I going to be doing this for? Katie, what do you got? We'll switch headphones.
Yeah, we're doing a little switcheroo here. Yeah, so I have the product in my hands. We were able to all get a sample product. Thank you. So this is really great. I cannot wait to use it myself. But for those who have not seen the Shark Tank episode, can you give us a little bit of an idea of what that process was like, how you kind of got connected to Shark Tank, what that process was like going through that? Because it didn't happen like super fast, right?
No. So it happened with David was on social media, and a producer from Shark Tank saw an interaction of David really forwarding a competitor's product to them. He thought it was a really cool gesture that we weren't, pushing our product down this guy's throat and just kind of saying, "Oh yeah, that's a really cool product," and here it is. And he reached out to us and he said, that was a class act. He's like, I want you guys to apply to Shark Tank. And they give you 2 producers to start, and we, I forget their names, but Mags and somebody, but they were wonderful. Just like, they truly down to the bottom of their heart, like want you to not only get on the show, but to make a deal. And they do everything in their ability to try to bring that to fruition. I mean, ABC and Sony had it down pat from the moment. Like we would have Zoom meetings and pitch meetings, and the pitch is funny. Like it couldn't be 97 seconds long. It couldn't be 87. It had to be 90, like right on the button. And we would have to shave words off here and there. Or even if I said, I claim that it does X, Y, and Z, the lawyer would be like, all right, you claimed it says that. Show me some literature. So I'd have to go and get some literature on Graston and muscle scraping and send it to him and be like, okay. And they'd be like, okay, we'll approve it. So it was what you see in that little 90 seconds and on that 6-minute airing. There's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah.
There was
you said it was like 40 minutes or so that you were actually in the tank, and only 6 minutes gets.
They edited a lot out.
Yeah.
And like Dan said, the process from start to finish was amazing. When I got the initial email from the producer, I thought it was a joke. You know how careful we have to be about clicking on links and emails these days. And I called my 19-year-old son downstairs. I said, does this look like it's legitimate? Do you really think this is Shark Tank producer? So we Googled his name real quick, and I called Dan. I said, Dan, like we're here, we're onto something. I really think we're going to be on the show. So the producer called me. He played rugby in college, and I played a little rugby after school. So we started talking about rugby for 45 minutes, and he goes, so you want to be on, we really want you to be into this process and into this funnel. And to be honest with you, it was always a dream of ours. And Dan and I, we had a couple different dreams. We wanted to be in Runner's World magazine. We wanted to be in wholesale, like in Whole Foods. I don't know why I came up with this bullet list, but there was a few things that I just wanted to check those boxes. And I was always scared to put Shark Tank on that list because it seemed unattainable. So when we actually got the chance, it kind of felt surreal. Like we were just doing these things. Like we got on the plane, we flew across the country. I'm like, Dan, look at all those houses down there. Like, this is crazy. We got there, we had dinner, we rehearsed more, and we kept rehearsing, and we just did it. And it felt surreal, but it's been a lot of crazy things happen in life. That was definitely one of the top ones on the list for sure.
I'm sure.
Yep.
And when we were watching the episode, just to speak to how the usability of this, like you could see them all using the product right there on television. And it was interesting to me because, like, at first they were kind of like didn't really know what to do with it, and with a few simple instructions.
Had it upside down, I think.
I was cringing watching it. He's holding the tool, and he's like, and Barb was looking at it. But yeah, like you said, Katie, within 2 minutes of me, and that wasn't edited. It really was in real time. Yeah. I just said, hold it on a 15 to 20 degree angle, and I tell all of our customers the same thing. We have our instructions printed out in each package, and sometimes I even still write a handwritten note to a lot of our customers. We're still small enough where we can do a lot of fun things with our client base and our customer base. Obviously, we've gotten bigger over the years, but we're still small enough where we can interact and build community and fulfill orders when we want to on our own and write notes, and it's cool. And I'd like to be able to do that for as long as we can. Obviously, I want to grow, but it's nice to be able to still have that human touch. And like they were talking about on the panel, the human touch and the human element of physical therapy, it lives and it breathes through our product and through our partnership. And, it's a blessing.
Well, as somebody who does a lot of online shopping from several companies, I can tell you that I do appreciate when I get a little handwritten note. I get super excited about it. I'm like, oh, look, somebody took the time to send me a note. There is something that feels very personal about that. So I think that's
good
great
to
that you
hear,
guys do
Katie.
that.
That's very good
definitely.
to hear.
Yep. Okay. We're switching.
I gotta be honest, like a doctor of physical therapy degree is very important in this process, but I'm noticing idea in the shower, noticing the unintended use of the mold. I'm feeling like your contributions are starting to be outweighed here a little bit. You know what I mean?
It's been, listen, I've said it a million times. I lay down at night and I put my head on my pillow and I say, I wouldn't be here if it weren't for him. And things need to work out. I don't believe in coincidence. There's a reason why you meet people in life. When he was my physical therapist, he made a difference in my life. He got me back on the field. He got me back to doing what I love, and that's invaluable. He proved himself as a great family man, a great person, a great partner, a great friend. I mean, we're sharing a room. it's like we're just friends. Like we're more than
Cuban
business.
would be happy keeping costs low. Keeping costs low.
No.
No, I mean, but to be honest with you, sometimes I am a little more forward-facing because I've stepped in front of the camera. I'm the face of the company, and he'll be the first to pat me on the back and clap for me. But today, I mean, you saw when he's in his element, and when you are in front of all those people on that stage, I couldn't have done what he did today. You knocked it out of the park. We complement one another. It truly is a completion of sorts of all the things that I'm deficient in, he's not, and all the things that he's not as good at, I'm
like
more
those
natural.
graphics on those slides. Forget about it. I still would be like, what is going on here? I'm pushing this alternate delete button,
But I'm sure someone like Mark. Now we can get into more business stuff, right? So we've got the idea, right, and it's important. But you had even mentioned ideas are a dime a dozen. Right? You could a physical therapist could have had this idea, but if they don't have someone who knows how to execute or creatively show, this is a very visual product. How you show it is important. I think the design also, I mean, I'm a little biased as a PT. As soon as I look at that, I'm like, I know exactly what to do with it, but I've been exposed to that.
Sure.
The people that you're trying to sell this to haven't. So I'm imagining the little TikToks you're talking about, and I haven't looked at the videos, but my guess is you're showing over telling. Showing over telling, which in my opinion is something our profession needs to do a lot more of.
Definitely.
We love to talk and tell.
Yeah.
And I say show sells.
I think she's a physical therapist. If she's not a physical therapist, she's definitely in a tangentially involved industry. But she's an amazing person out in California. She's a doctor. She said something that stuck with me. She said, you have to pretend like somebody doesn't know. Like, if
All the
doing it
time.
once is never on social media. So, yes, I film myself in the shower hundreds and hundreds of times. In fact, to the point of embarrassment, my father's wife will say to me, oh, I saw you in the shower again. I said, well, listen, I sell soap, and it's a demonstrative product. I have to get out of my own way sometimes and just grin and bear it. And we've had a couple stories like that. My sons, would join my son's friends in high school would join my live on TikTok, and then he'd text me on the side and say, "Dad, please get off TikTok live. Everybody in the class is watching it." So it's been fun. It's been fun.
You became a physical therapist to help people, not to feel like just another number. At US Physical Therapy, we're 135 plus local brands, backed by one national support team. That means more opportunity and better resources while working for locally owned clinics in your backyard. Find your next role with a company that puts PTs first. Start today at usph.com.
So I didn't snap a picture of it like I normally do when I watch presentations, but you had a list, and you're going to be giving a presentation tomorrow in a very different way, which I think is very. It's like going on the timeline, because I'm sure a lot of people in that room of 400 or 500 people have had an idea or two, and they spoke up, right? What do you do now? And you had this short list, and I didn't snap a picture, but it was, number one was make sure you're solving a real problem. And off the top of your head, that list was terribly important, because I think a lot of people skip to the, well, how am I going to sell this? And then, well, how am I going to make it? Where I think what you both clearly did was you went through that sort of checklist of, okay, is this a real problem, or do we need to invent a problem, which can be done a lot harder. But if you're solving a real problem, so talk about that list or that slide and why it's so important to honestly answer those questions.
Yeah, I think that the very last thing on there sums it up. The last bullet was people have to genuinely want it, right? And
how do you know that though, until you make it?
Yeah, I mean, I think being a PT, this one was easy because we're all heading towards arthritis, right? Our joints are not going to be the same when we're 60 and 70. And I think, I know that like this scraping is going to help. Like it's going to decrease the stress on the joints, because if you get your muscles looser, the joints are going to function better and whatnot, and it's going to preserve that cartilage that you have left. So I think it all starts like, yes, it's got to solve a problem. It's got to be feasible, easy to understand. Like those are all critical, components. And if it's not, like if everybody was out there, I was like, I didn't want to get anybody mad. Like, no, my product is not easy to understand and mine's expensive. That's okay. But you better have a market with money. Maybe like you're selling to a hospital. Like I was talking to some gentleman who makes these ocular for vestibular rehab, and they're like $3,000 a piece. Like, all right, he's not selling to the layperson. He's selling not only to clinics, but maybe like hospitals and rewards and things like that. So I think you just, like us, in the beginning, what was hard is we're like, who do we market to? Like, we didn't know who to market to because it's like, really, we couldn't think of anybody that didn't want it. Like, the dirty people, I guess, don't want our product. right?
Well, you said originally you went in with a very, very intentional, intended audience. You said athletes.
Yeah. And
next thing you knew, people were sort of looking and saying, well, I have a similar problem just because I'm not an athlete. And then it spread from there, and that's a happy accident. It's serendipity.
Yeah. I think we kind of let the market dictate a lot, and maybe it's not good business practice.
Oh, I think it is.
I think it is too.
Yeah, you reacted. It's good.
You said it before about, you can create a problem and then create a solution. I don't think we realized the amount of problems that this very simple solution could actually help.
Right.
Maybe not solve. I would be more hesitant, and maybe it's the I don't like to make claims, but we help manage a lot of different issues, a lot of soreness issues, a lot of recovery issues. For me in general, I mean, I'm lab, test patient number one. I'm always, I have a neck issue right now, and I constantly scrape it in the shower with Source Soap, and maybe it's not fixing it, but it's helping me. This morning I was able to go for a run, and I loosened up, before that run with a pre-run shower. Then so we're definitely letting a lot of the marketplace dictate how it's used. We're letting the customer's voice be the loudest, and it's up to us to listen, and be attentive to it, and then change the course, slightly in one way or the other. But it's an ongoing process. We're learning every day. If you don't pay attention to the customer, I'm a big believer the customer's always right. And Mark kind of supported that notion. Like if there's problems with shipping, if there's a problem with a refund, make the customer happy now because the brand will benefit in the long run. So we're not where we intend to be in the next few years, but we're at a place where we're helping a lot of people feel better. That's a great feeling, and we're growing year after year, and we're finding new ways to tell the story, which it's a constant, enjoyable challenge.
Wonderful. So unfortunately, we have just snippets of information here today because we're so busy. So we're going to go ahead and move on to what we call the parting shot. This is a tradition on PT Pintcast, parting shot on PTA Plus. It's called the Plus Point. But basically, your words of advice, any kind of information, what do you want to leave the audience with? Any fires you want to start? Dan, David, parting shot.
I think my last slide on there, that Mark Twain quote about, you're going to be more upset with the things that you didn't do in 20 years than the things that you did do. So, don't be hesitant. I think it made a reference to sailing ashore, and casting off the bow lines. I think that's, that really resonated with me because you don't want any regret. We only have one time going through this life. Mm-hmm. So, and this has been a great journey with him. And I think picking the right partner to go through that, whether it's a business partner or your spouse, I think that really hits home to me. Is like you don't get a redo on life, so don't have any regret and just go out there and do what you can.
Yeah.
I don't give much advice to people, but the one piece of advice that I've always followed in my life, and it's so simple, is just be kind, but be authentic. Be yourself. My mother, she taught me a lot, but that was the one big thing that she left with me. Just be yourself and believe in yourself, and really just be kind.
Yeah.
It helps. It goes a long way.
Well, and I can honestly say from hanging out with you guys for the last 24 hours that what we saw on Shark Tank is what we see here. You are authentic, so I do appreciate that. So where can people find out more information about your product, and where can they find you and connect with you?
Sure. Soursoap.com. It's SORSOAP.com. And all of our product information is on there. There's a lot of informative videos, and there's also something for clinicians, for either physical therapists and massage therapists or clinical practices, wellness centers. There's a way to get in touch with us online. There's a few different ways to reach out, and soursoap.com.
Awesome. Great. Thank you
guys
so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
This is the PT Pintcast.
Brooks IHL residency grads have a 93% board pass rate. That's good. Nearly 20% higher than the national average. Are you ready to level up and become a clinical expert? Take the next step at brooksihl.org.
There aren't nearly enough podcasts in this world. Said no one. Why not launch one more? If you thought about launching a show but don't quite know how, we can help you do all that back-end stuff. Email me at jimmy@ptpintcast.com, and we can add one more podcast no one else will listen to the pile.